Burden, you think we need therapy?
Yes.
You're the kind of person that would go to a therapist and try to win them over on
No, they would just simply observe and they could see all the problems that is right here next to me in this chair.
You are to me for no reason. I'm gonna win therapy.
Wait, you're not gonna win therapy.
I'm gonna win therapy.
So, what has brought you to this point?
Well, me and Yvonne would get into a lot of arguments.
Have you ever seen some of our clips?
I said let it go! I haven't escalated.
You have! Look at you now!
So who do you think's the bad guy? You're like my sister that runs to my mom when she does something wrong to tell her I did something wrong first.
I did not do that.
Condition her into thinking I'm the bad person.
I did not say that. You're the one you literally did what you just said that I do. You're like, are you gonna be on your best behavior now? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, I'm just asking.
Like, what are you trying to say about that? That I normally am not.
I just want to make sure you're not switching up.
I'm not switching up. You switching up?
Sometimes I'm worried that some of our friends would get therapy and they would be like on their best behavior. It's like, bro, you need to show them what you really are so they can fix you. Sorry, we haven't started recording yet. Oh, we're recording? Can we start? Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of We Were Fighting. Before this, me and Yvonne have been talking about getting a therapist for a long time, and we finally found one. We have a psychotherapist, Deepa, here with us, and she's gonna solve all of our problems, hopefully. Hi, how are you?
If only that it were that easy, but I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yvonne, what's your goal with all of this? You want a therapist, right?
Wait, it was your idea who wanted a therapist, wasn't it?
You're always saying, man, you need therapy.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because okay. The way, you know this, sometimes you'll describe things. You're like, I know this is toxic or I know this is not right. But then that's just the way you feel or the way things. Yeah. Just like talking to you sometimes, I'm like, you should talk to somebody. Because, like you said, you don't talk about your feelings a lot.
You think I'm the one who needs therapy?
Like Deepa said, everybody needs therapy, but you need it more.
I'm going to pause for a second. Is there a shared goal here in terms of having a conversation, right? Because this is a space where it's the three of us, right? It's both you, Yvonne, and you, Jeremy. It's not just you in the therapy hot seat, and it's not just you. So what has brought you to this point?
Well, me and Yvonne would get into a lot of arguments. I feel like sometimes she just assumes the worst in me. Like we had this, I'm not sure if now's the time to start bringing up grievances, but there would be instances where she wouldn't give me the opportunity to change. She often says like, well, I'm just going to do this because I know who you are and I don't expect you to change. And when I do try and change, it's kind of like...
Wait, but I don't think that's true because I think I do give you opportunity to change and then you do the same thing. And then I'm like, so now I anticipate it.
Yeah, you anticipate it, but it doesn't come. Like sometimes I would give her a hard time for being late. And then she said, wow, it upsets me. And I stopped giving her a hard time. And then she'll come in.
He did not stop.
I stopped and then you escalated and then I called you and you said, well, it's because you made me like this.
I escalated? You literally... Okay, let me give you the scenario, okay? I drive here every day for the podcast. So sometimes like the times that I'm late, kind of like it's either... I could be late like 5 minutes. I could be late 10 minutes, whatever it is. I think that day I was late. Was it 11:04? Our podcast was like 11. And I remember I walked in this way and then I'm like walking up and takes out his phone and I already know what he was going to say. He was about to take out his phone to like make fun of me being late. And then he didn't say anything. He put it back. But I like knew that was his instinct. So I just... Of course, jokingly called him out on it. And then and then what?
Well, you were right. You clocked me. I was going to make fun of you. But then I remember our discussions, like, because you make an effort to drive here. It's a lot of work. So sometimes you're late. So I put it back. and I didn't say anything. I fought my instinct, but obviously you saw that.
Yeah.
And then you yelled at me as if I did call you out for being late.
It was fun. It was for fun. I knew what he was
always
doing.
go with it was a joke.
But
route.
he has yelled at me still here and there for it. That was like the one of the few times that he did not. Like he was like, but there's been, I mean, so many times where it's.
Yeah, and a lot of those times were before we had that discussion. I think after
We've had
that,
multiple discussions. Which discussion am I gonna know which one you're gonna take it seriously?
So I'm gonna pause this here, if that's okay, right? So with any type of relationship, you'll see that folks will kind of have the same conversation or sometimes have the same fights, having the same dialogue, but there's stuff that's underneath that, right? And when there isn't repair, right, or everything is often just, oh, it's a joke and it's reduced to that, we're not really talking about maybe the larger issue or maybe the little moments of harm that have been caused along the way. And so when you have these experiences of harm and there's not repair, right, and repair from both ends and a sense of understanding and meeting in the middle, that distance just only gets bigger. You might think that sometimes having the conversation, it's a great place to start for sure. But it's what is happening in that time? What's happening in that distance? Are we coming together? Are we meeting each other halfway, right? You know, something that might be perceived as instinctual for you or a behavior that's common or often for you historically or for you, we have to embrace change. And so with that being said, I want to ask the both of you, right? Like it sounds like there's care here and there's been a relationship that's been developed, right? Of working together, living together and experiencing life together, gaming, etc. And so even just having me here in this space shows, I think, effort on both of your ends that, hey, there's something here. Let's name it and let's talk about it. So with that in mind, what is the goal for both of you? And it's okay if the goal is not the same.
Ooh, what's the goal? Well, I'm pretty happy with my relationship with Yvonne, to be honest.
Me too. I think if anything, he sometimes says things that I'm like, oh, I actually kind of feel bad that you feel that way, or that like that should not be like a.
Could you explain that a little bit more?
This is only because it's a recent issue that happened. We had an airport incident basically where so he bought business class seats and he was at the lounge, and then he was also with one of our friends and she was communicating along with him, like all of us in like a group chat. I got to the airport. We're going on a trip together. I don't have business class. I have economy. And so they're chilling in the lounge. And then I'm like, guys, I'm here type of thing. And then he says to her, like, I don't want to leave type of thing. But he's very stoic normally. So he says that it could be a joking or a serious way, but he just says like, I don't want to leave. And then our friend Sydney was just kind of like, so do I tell Yvonne that we're not leaving the lounge, or we are? Like, she's a little not sure what to do. She has to write the message because he's like busy getting food or something. And then they do leave, and then I meet up with them, and then we have like a little quarrel or like a little yappy session basically. And then he got kind of like, I don't know if it's offense, or how he felt was, you didn't think I would leave the lounge because like I left it every time. Like we're good friends. Of course I would leave the lounge for you. You should be able to tell that was a joke, or that like that I didn't mean that, right? When he's like, I'm not leaving the lounge, it doesn't mean he's actually not leaving the lounge. For me, my standpoint is always like you paid a premium for your ticket, or you should also like just have the choice to leave the lounge or stay in the lounge if you feel like it. Like to me, him leaving the lounge is not an indicator of whether he's a good friend to me or not. Sometimes you could just have a day where you're like, I'm lazy, I just want to relax here, and that is okay. But yeah, he was basically like, I always leave lounge, but that was kind of roughly the scenario. You could add to it if I explained it wrong or anything.
What was your experience of that? And what was it like for you to hear Yvonne share that?
Well, I don't. For me, the situation doesn't involve Yvonne because it was our friend Sydney who I was like essentially playing a prank on because she asked me, "Hey, do you want to go leave and meet Yvonne downstairs?" And we were eating. I said, "No," but in my head, it's a joke. So I just let it sit for 5 seconds and said, "Okay, let's go." And then I was giving shit to Sydney because Yvonne has no decision in this, right? Because she's not the one. She doesn't know any of this is happening. So then after 5 seconds, we go downstairs. And Sydney was explaining, oh, yeah, I didn't know if he was being serious or not. And then my take was, oh, wow, I can't believe you guys thought I was actually going to stay up here and let Yvonne sit alone downstairs by herself. I was like, well, you guys think badly of me. Only a bad person would do that. But I don't think it was too serious. It was just joking around. But it made me think like, if they think I'm able to do that, to like leave a friend downstairs, I wonder why they think that, or what have I done to make them think that? Because I would say that scenario has happened 8+ times, and every single time I leave the lounge because not every one of our friends is sitting in business class. So it was more me thinking, okay, my actions all say one thing, but they're almost not expectation, but like the possibility of me not doing the same action is still there. And I wonder what's causing that. And of course, the initial reaction is like, wow, I can't believe you guys would think that, because even though I did say no, my actions has always been yes. So to me, I expected the joke to be obvious. But the fact that it wasn't obvious, it was like partly offense, but also partly like, is it because they think, because what I've said or done in the past that make them think I might suddenly change? And I think that's something you said, Yvonne, which is like, well, I know you did this 10 times, but I never know with you. Like one day you might decide to just stay upstairs.
I think it's healthier to not have that expectation on your friend. I think like people just have days where they feel differently, and that they should be allowed to stay in the lounge without feeling like they're a bad friend for doing so. Like to me, he has been such a good friend to me throughout so many other things. Whether he leaves the lounge or not is not like, does not dictate whether he's a good friend to me. And also when he jokes, he's always like deadpan, very like, he kind of like the Office or serious humor type of thing. So it's hard to tell with him, but I was giving him crap because I was saying like, you put Sid in like she's anxious. She's like, doesn't know what to do. She's like stun locked.
It sounds like I'm wondering for you if there's a part of you maybe that feels misunderstood. I think one thing that I'm observing for the both of you is like a lot of humor. Mm-hmm. But when do you know when the humor ends and when someone's more authentic parts come out, right? Like the ones that are more value oriented, right? Based in morality and how you show up as a friend, right? Like we can always have, I think, a good fun time, mm-hmm. but also there needs to be trust, right? In a sense of knowing. And it can be hard if someone is maybe not as expressive in their affect of like, you know, I'm signaling, I'm giving someone a cue of this is a joke, this isn't a joke, right? There's like nonverbal language. There's a lot that goes along with that. It sounds like kind of you're questioning, well, what have I done when all of my actions show this way? And then sometimes I show up that way. What is it like for you to be?
I think misunderstood is a correct feeling because I think I do joke around a lot, and it's often in a very like stoic, sarcastic way. So when those moments happen, it's never about like, it's on them. Like they misunderstood me. It's like, oh, probably because of the way I act that sometimes they don't know my real intention, despite my action. So I think in those moments, I like being myself. I don't like showing outward affection, direct affection. And it feels like it's hard to have that understanding while being sarcastic. Because like Yvonne said, it's like, well, is he joking? Because 90% of the time I'm joking, but 10% of the time I may actually be serious. Like, oh, I don't want this. I don't want to do this. It's like, oh, haha, good one. It's like, oh no, I actually don't want to do this. So I understand it can be mentally taxing to try and like, oh, is this that 10% where he's actually being serious? So yeah, misunderstood is something I often feel, or I think people banter with me a lot. So getting any actual validation usually requires like a serious situation. It's like, oh, your feelings are hurt. Okay, now that I know it's a serious situation, I can validate you. But because 90% of the time it's always joking, banter, it's like the times I get validation is much smaller. I think when Yvonne like had this actual conversation after, because like during it was fine. When she thought she heard my feeling, I think she was like, oh, no, like, and Yvonne does a great job of this. When she actually thinks my feelings got hurt, it's like, oh no, I think you're actually a great friend. And this is how I felt about this lounge thing, because I don't think it was a big deal. It's really just a joke. And then we released an episode talking about this, and everyone was like, wow, Yvonne, you really hurt Toast's feelings. And then her and Chelsea's reaction was like, hey, just so you know, your feelings are valid. And in that moment, I'm like, whoa, it was like I knew everyone was joking. So I never felt bad talking about it, or even during the airport lounge. But there was a slight moment of reflection of, what am I doing to make people think that I wouldn't sacrifice something for a friend despite my previous actions?
Yeah, but that never even crossed my mind. It's like your question to yourself is, what did I do to make my friends doubt me? But for me, I'm like, I want my friends to be happy. They should be able to like enjoy a lounge that they paid a premium for if they want to. Like, I don't want to have an expectation on my friend, or like a burden on my friend where like if they go to a lounge, they feel like, oh no, I have to like go out.
What is it like to hear Yvonne giving you grace, right? Because it sounds like there's a part of you that sometimes internalizes, right? Of like, well, what did I do where it's not landing, where someone is maybe misunderstanding my intention or questioning my intention?
Well, it's very nice for Yvonne to say something positive about me for once. So thank you.
What do you mean for once? I say that about you all the time. Are you serious? I say good things about him all the time.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, I'm talking here. This is about my feelings.
Yeah, okay, go.
Excuse you.
Hey, okay, go.
It's funny because in that interaction, Yvonne, in my opinion, wasn't really involved at all. It was like me and Sydney. And when Sydney was like, oh, I need to tell Yvonne that Toast Jeremy is not coming down, it was that made me think, oh, Sydney has that impression of me. And I think it's because in the past, like we travel together, we have to leave the lounge to go to our friends. I would sometimes like do a frowny face. But of course I leave. But, we do that like 5 times. If I'm putting a frowny face on it every time, even though I'm leaving, it can be for her sometimes like, I imagine, oh, I don't think he wants to leave. And so when he said no this time, he might be being serious. I don't think the lounge thing was a big deal.
Oh, it wasn't. It's just funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's more like, I don't want you to think, your thought is, what did I do to have them have doubt in me? Because it's not about that. At least for me, it's just there's trust in our friendship. You trust that I wouldn't actually be upset if you didn't leave the lounge also.
If I was downstairs by myself and you didn't leave the lounge, I'd be upset at you.
Yeah, that's fine. You could be upset at me if that's how you feel.
Do you want to stay in the lounge? Are you prepping this for one day when you're in the lounge and I'm not?
And it's reversed and I'm like, lounge? Yeah, maybe I'll think about leaving the lounge for you. No, I would leave. I would, because I want to hang out with you. I like the lounge. If I'm hungry, I go get free food maybe for 2 seconds and I come meet up with you, or I just get food outside. I don't care that much. I'd rather hang out with friends. Yeah.
I'm going to come back to you.
Okay.
You talked about, not being someone who is as expressive. So what is it like for you, just even in this moment, in this dialogue where I'm asking you to maybe think about some things that are happening inside, things that are coming up for you in real time?
It's hard. It feels like I'm in danger. Like, oh, this is not a safe space. Yeah, often when there's something wrong, like something goes wrong in a relationship, my first thing is like, okay, what did I do? But I'm getting more used to like understanding and being okay to accept that it's not my fault. Not that I'm going around saying like, oh, it's never my fault. But I think in the past, it's always like, okay, what did I do? Why did I do something wrong? But more and more, it's kind of like, oh, there's a conflict here. There's no right or wrong. So when I talk about like, you know, how I'm feeling, there's a lot of danger involved because it's like emotional burden on other people, which I think happens to a lot of guys. But I've been going to therapy. Although I recently stopped because I didn't like my therapist that much. Yeah, I think it's just uneasiness involved when talking about my feelings.
Yeah, I think that most people don't want to lean into stuff that is uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And when we are taught, whether it's culturally, whether it's from the society, the world that we live in, right? Like we're taught feelings aren't safe to talk about. We're not encouraged to express in that way. It is uncomfortable to actually make time and really look inwards, right? And so it's not that, you know, we laughed earlier about like everyone needs therapy. It doesn't need to look like therapy. I think everyone deserves a space to kind of be able to know themselves and to explore themselves, because you're here on one hand talking about, well, when something goes wrong, I'm thinking, what did I do? You're having a totally different experience in that moment. You're like, oh, I just want to give him the opportunity to enjoy the benefits of being in the lounge, right? And I know that that's just an example, but you both are having such different experiences. And so I'm going to come back to you again. I'm sorry. But, you know, of just, if the question is, what did I do wrong, or I'm in danger, right? There's kind of like this happening inwards. How do you think that shows up in your relationship with Yvonne and in the way you show up?
With Yvonne, I think she does a pretty good job of understanding me. So Yvonne doesn't really give me a lot of, how do I describe this? I think when I feel misunderstood, I just feel really bad, because often in life, I feel like I'm my own cheerleader. Like I'm the only guy who's gonna like root for myself. And sometimes I wish it feels like I can rely on someone else to cheer for me. I often say this, but this mostly relates to work, but I wish there was a second version of me, like another me, because that person would understand the stress of my work to go through. But on a friendship level, I think Yvonne has always done a very good job of making me feel understood. I think with her, she's going to assume I'm fine 90% of the time. And only when she sees me visibly down or she catches the vibe will she ease off the brakes.
Yeah.
Because there be moments of like, I'm not having a great day, and she's like, yo, what's up, loser? You stupid bitch. And then it's like, oh, wait, he's actually sad. Yeah. Hey, you okay, man?
Yeah, that's happened. It's like be on vacation. I'm like coming up from an elevator. I'm like, yo, day 3, let's fucking go. And all of a sudden, hey, he hasn't talked in a long time. Like, you okay?
What is it like for you to hear him share some of this, right? Like there's a part of him that maybe feels misunderstood, lonely, or not as connected as maybe he shows up. What is that like?
I get it. I think when he says this, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. And like his persona a lot of times is very often he is the one with like the ego, or one that like talks himself up a lot. So people would do the opposite of what he would probably want. They, instead of praising him, they might like banter with him and knock him down a bit, because he's the one putting himself up. So they're like, I gotta knock this guy down a couple blocks. So I think, yeah, it's interesting because what he seeks is opposite of how people treat him, because of him feeling like he has to be the one to build himself up. So I totally see how that like all cycles or like creates the problem that he has. And then when he says he's lonely, I'm not surprised, because he doesn't have a lot of like, he has very core strong friendships. There's like a handful of them, and then he's not like someone who's super social. So then like I can see how, especially when that core often can be busy or in the same industry, like how that could be sometimes lonely, even though you know you could lean on them. So there's just both sides to it all. Yeah.
Hey, that was a pretty accurate description, especially the part about, it's ironic, by being the, persona of a big ego guy, talking myself up like I'm the best, it invites comments from like my close friends like, okay, we gotta knock this guy down, which is funny in like a content way. It's like, the guy with the big ego getting his comeuppance, but it also pushes away something that I don't have, which is because I think people expect me to like pull myself up and like root for myself, that they feel like, oh, he doesn't need that, he's got it. And then that's something that is very lacking from my life.
Yeah. Like he seems very sufficient in that area. So then it's like, that makes sense. Cause I think about like, how often do I compliment him? I compliment him when like we're dressed for a red carpet, and I'll be like, hey, you look good. But like when I think about how many times I compliment him, it's not that often. Only when we like actually have conversation, I'm like, well, you're really good at this and blah, blah, blah. But on like a regular day, not so much. It's more banter, mostly because of the relationship that we have. But yeah.
Do you want some of that relationship to evolve in the sense of, right, we can joke, we can do all the things. I'm wondering if both of you want to be able to show emotional support to one another in maybe new ways.
Yeah, that will feel weird.
Yeah.
It's like my dad saying, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it's like my mom saying, I love you a little bit.
I don't think I wanted to evolve, but the fact that people would know how I'm feeling, I think goes a long way. Like, I wouldn't want Yvonne to change our relationship at all. Like, I don't want her suddenly saying, hey, looking good today. That would freak me out. But just hearing her say these things, I think is super helpful. It's like, oh, I feel understood. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, you don't have to change anything. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to say anything. But if you understand me and make me feel like you understand me, to me, that's enough.
What could she do to help you? Because here's the thing, right? People aren't mind readers. And sometimes when we are actually trying to strengthen our support system, we're trying to strengthen both internal and external resources, we have to name that, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes part of maybe moving from being someone who's historically been an island, kind of how you described yourself, of like, I always got to root for myself. I have to be my hype man, if you will, right? People make this assumption that I'm ambitious or I overperform. I can do these things. You made this joke about, wow, that would feel like, my parent telling me they're proud of me, and there seemed to be discomfort, right? And I wonder if part of you being, I don't want Yvonne to do that. That would feel weird. Would it feel weird or would it feel new?
It would feel, I still think it would feel weird and definitely new. I would be uncomfortable by it, made uncomfortable by it. Yeah, I think I really like the relationship I have with my friends, like my really close friends, that I wouldn't want it to change that much. But it also probably goes back to like, oh, if I have to ask them to validate me. This is toxic thinking. Sometimes in a relationship, girls would say, I don't want to tell you what's wrong. I just want you to know what's wrong. I think I have a bit of that when it comes to feeling understood. It's like, if I explain word for word what is wrong and like what's happening, and then for them to understand, do they really understand me, or is it just because I laid it out for them? And then it's like, oh, versus like, I want someone to intuitively understand me and I feel connected to them because they were able to understand me without me spelling it out. But I also recognize that people aren't mind readers, and I think if I explained it once, they will have a better like framework to work with the next time it happens.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. I think the more you explain it, it makes it so it's easier for you to be seen in the future. Like the first couple of times you lay out the groundwork, they understand like a layer more, and then another layer more happens. And then they can sometimes, that's when I can sense it, right? Because it's like, oh, we've laid out the groundwork before of like how I can tell when you're upset or not. Yeah, I think you laying out like what's wrong and sharing how you feel and stuff does help a lot with understanding, because you're very stoic and it's hard to know when something is bothering you or not. So it's very helpful.
Yeah. So Yvonne's one of my closest friends. We have another close friend called Lily, and our relationship's similar. They basically both, when we see each other, it's like they kick me in the shin. It's like, ow. It's like, haha. And the times where they kick me in the shin and then I don't react and I just sit there, that's how they know something's wrong. It's like, why aren't you fighting back? Like, what's wrong with you? And they're like, oh, you're sad? Okay, sorry. Hey, what's wrong, buddy? Which for me is like, that's a perfect level of understanding I want. If they kept kicking me, it's like, okay, they don't understand me. But if they were able to discern that something's wrong off like the initial interaction, moments like that does make me feel understood. And I think that is already enough for me.
Do you feel like you kick them in the shins first?
Yeah. I think in our day-to-day interaction, we just start kicking each other, right? And sometimes if I did that to Yvonne and she doesn't fight back, it's like, oh, something's wrong. I think when Yvonne was going through that really rough moment with the guy, I think it started off as me like coming as like jumping on her bed and just being a nuisance, and her just staring at the computer screen saying like, oh, hey, like something was off, right? And when moments like that happen, I think it's really easy for me. But yes, I agree. Our relationship is built on a lot of banter and teasing. So I never feel bad if they came in swinging, right? Because it's like, it's how we say hello. Yeah.
She looks at me like, oh, is it how you say hello? Yeah.
Is that how you want to say hello?
Yeah, I mean, it's just fun. It's not always how we say hello. Sometimes we'll be like, hey, what's up? Or like, or sometimes we just give each other a look. Sometimes it'll be like, I don't know, some profanity. But otherwise, we've just been close for so long. So our interactions feel very comfortable. I would not do that with just anybody type of thing. And like, yeah, because we have a established relationship.
Yeah, I mean, you talked earlier too, having known each other and for what, 7 years?
Mm-hmm.
And we change. People change in that time. And you were talking about, I have two thoughts in mind. You were talking about wishing that you had another part of you, right?
Yeah.
And so actually we all have different parts of us that exist. I try to frame it in this way of, inside of us, there's an inner round table, and there are different parts of us that exist. And those different parts of us have different beliefs about self, beliefs about the world, the way that we attach and we connect with other people. And these different parts of us all have different functions, right? They came to be for a reason. And in one relationship, you might notice certain parts of you come out versus in maybe a relationship that might be, someone you've only known for a year. You might only allow them to see just these many parts. And so I definitely want to normalize that. I think that there are a lot of different parts, but how many parts of you do you bring out to the light and let the world see, right? And it sounds like for you, that feels scary. That feels vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like maybe it would be something new for you to do. But the other point I wanted to mention too was attunement, right? So you're talking about wanting to feel understood. And that is driven by such basic human need, because we're human beings. We are wired to connect. We are wired to attach to people. We're wired to seek emotional comfort, play, etc. from other people. And when people miss our cues or don't see our cues, right, that's called a lack of attunement, right? And when that happens so much, especially in earlier years of life, it does kind of affect and influence the way that we define trust with the world, right? Of like, well, people aren't seeing they're not picking up these little cues about me. That can feel hurtful, even if the other person is not intending to hurt you. And so a question I want to, again, ask the both of you is, what would it feel like to receive and to feel more supported in a way that's humorous, but also embraces the people you've become and changed, right? In the last 7 years since you've known each other.
Do you mean feel attuned to each other or by just anyone in general?
I'm going to keep this between you both.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's gotten a lot better throughout the years. I would say earlier years, he did hurt my feelings here and there. But I think over time, he got better at sensing when to not push the button. It's like ease off the brakes when you sense like, oh, it's going too far. And that often happens. Have you ever played this game called League of Legends? Okay, well, there's a game called League of Legends, okay? So let me paint you a picture. Basically, I worked really hard. I climbed to like a higher ranking in this League of Legends game, okay? And then we would play together. And then oftentimes he would fight with me on like what to do. Just imagine he's like off in the distance. He's like, Yvonne, I need help. And then I'm like, you shouldn't be getting yourself in a fight right now. He's like kind of like starting to fight, right? But I'm like, I can't be there, or like there's people that can't be there. But he's like, you didn't come help me, like blah blah. And then we fight about that. And then he's like yelling. We're both going at it at each other. And then our audience is also very like, it's a very male dominated space. So then like I think a lot of people would. This is the earlier years especially, but like yeah, they would like hop on and they would like and then this is no longer about our dynamic anymore. It's like if that alone, that would be like mine, but then it like you add the public to it, it adds like another layer. And then he knew he upset me one time. He messaged me after a stream. He was like, oh, like I'm sorry. But yeah, he's gotten a lot better at like sensing that like that's not. But there were times where I felt like I had to prove that to over the years, being like I had to explain to you like why we couldn't do certain things, and you're like, oh, okay, versus before you're very like, no, this is what it was. I'm going to get Challenger player to come VOD review our games.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's very valid. I think I was just playing it up, but also I think in the moment, not understanding there's so much more at play than it's just you and me, right? Because there's a whole audience. And also just being wrong, Joe, because I 100% recognize you're the better player. The way I see it is like, if we're both cooks and I'm like a child and I'm trying to make spaghetti sauce and I don't know how to make it, so I'm trying my best and I know you know how to make it, but when I make a mistake or think, okay, I'm going to do the best thing I can, but you're not saying anything.
I'm nonverbal.
Yeah, nonverbal. It's like, and I have the same thing with Scar, which is our other friend. And he's also, in this analogy, really good at cooking. And he will also say, after I do something wrong, say, hey, that was wrong. I think to me, that triggers my like childhood trauma of my parents backseating me. Because I think my dad's like he lets you make a mistake and then like, looks like you messed it up. Why didn't you do this instead?
Method of teaching maybe.
Yeah. So when I play these games with people who are much better than me, and they're not telling me what to do, and I know I'm the worst player, I start getting like really frustrated. It's like, I know I suck. I make a mistake. I react to it. But I really wish like the good people in the room will say what is the right thing to do.
And we have a different problem going on. So in this game that we play.
I'm going to pause if that's okay.
Yeah.
I want to appreciate, like I really want to acknowledge you talking about the part of you that feels like on the peripheral sometimes of I'm not being let in for some reason. And that can kind of be an isolating experience, right? Of like, I'm surrounded by people and they're in on something that I don't know and I don't feel included, right? And you're tying that back to these younger parts of you that feel wounded in those moments, right? Where it might be, right, in that grand scheme of that specific moment, to everyone else, it might feel like this is a small thing, but for you, it brings up a lot of stuff, right? And so how do you then respond in those moments?
Not well. I think in those moments, obviously I'm frustrated with myself because I know I made a mistake and I will lash out. To be fair, I'm a bit of a little shit when I play this game. Like let's say, back to analogy, we're cooking and then Yvonne drops an egg, right? for me, that's an easy thing for me to point out as a mistake. Oh, that's a mistake. Now's finally my chance. Because that's something I can see and recognize as something she did wrong. And I can point to it as like, ha, you made a mistake. And I'm sure it also sets her off because in those moments, she knows dropping the egg was a mistake. And I'm just jumping on it and, hey, everyone, take a look at this. Because when I make a mistake, it's like, oh, that's a mistake. We can't do that. And I react by also returning it to her. And it's kind of like this very prickly back and forth. And I'm sure a lot of her frustration comes from the fact that I would make, let's say, 20 mistakes and she would make 2 mistakes. And I would jump on the times where she makes the 2 mistakes. So imagine, I'm not sure if this is an equivalent in therapy, but like a Psych 101 student coming to your office and say, actually, I don't think you're doing this right. And then just having to take it now. And there's now an audience saying like, yeah, we agree with the student. We don't know if you're doing this right. And you've been doing this for such a long time. Like you have more experience, but to have people kind of like invalidate that, especially by someone less experienced for you, I'm sure was very frustrating to Yvonne.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, he doesn't experience this, but like, I would say being like a woman in the gaming space, people often like more quickly discredit you. And then they will also like I feel like sometimes a guy can make a mistake and then they're like, oh, that's like a one-off. And then like a girl can make mistakes and they'll be like, you're not the rank that you are. And then like that's obviously beyond his control. It's just like things that when comments are made, then it's like, oh, you're not actually like good at the game. You're just like blah 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 and all this and like all these reasons to discredit you. Obviously that doesn't always happen because like I am a female, but it does happen. So like because I've experienced that so much more being in that way, like that stuff would have what would be a normal interaction would like pile up with more small things here and there that make it like a little extra annoying. But yeah, for the thing is with him wanting help for like, oh, we're like the better chefs, like we should be teaching him how to cook. It's kind of like my thing that I'm doing is also like I'm not the greatest at multitasking or being like micromanaging. So I'm like more focused sometimes on my thing because I have a lot of like micro things that I'm doing. And then I will, when I see something happen, that's when I'll glance or like I'll glance occasionally. So it's so hard to like manage somebody else cooking at a different station. Yeah, I try to get better at that because I know his thinking is like, I need to know what to do because I don't know as well what to do. But yeah, you just can't manage it all sometimes, but I try.
Yeah, it's like we're managing a restaurant and it's hard for me to know what to do and there's no one to teach me, so I'm trying my best. And everyone's just so focused on making sure they do their job that I'm kind of on my own. And because in this game, I play the role in the restaurant, I guess it's like the maitre d' because I have to go interact with everyone. Mm-hmm. And it's hard because I'm also the least experienced person doing the job that probably the most experienced person should be doing. So I just kind of have this attitude of like, okay, I just need all of you to listen to me and do what I say. But the least experienced person shouldn't be doing that, right? He should be the one being led. And unfortunately, the role I play in this video game is the role of the leader of like, okay, we should do this, we should do this. But you're giving the car keys to a child. And
well, it's because that's also your role in any game that we play. It just so happened this game is the one that you're not as like good in, but in like a lot of games, you are the shot caller. He like is used to being the one taking initiative because, and this happens like across all of our trips or other things. It's because other people sometimes are more soft spoken or they are not used to that role. Or maybe don't take as much initiative. So he feels like sometimes he has to take a lot of that burden.
Have you ever been in a group of friends and they don't want to decide on a restaurant? So you, being the person who cares the least about where you eat, ends up making a decision. We go to that restaurant and then someone says, this restaurant sucks. I don't like the food here. That situation happens quite often. And as someone who has to pick the restaurant only because no one else is picking it, then to hear that is so incredibly like demoralizing because someone needs to do this job. No one wants to do it. I personally don't care, but I have to do it or else nothing gets done. And then to have to hear like complaints about it, even though they complain about the food, they never complain at me or say, oh, who picked this? Because I think my friends are really good about that. Feels bad. I think Yvonne touched on it. It's like, because I have to make the decision. In that game, it's hard because I feel like I need to make a decision, even though I'm not suited for it. It always feels like if things go bad, it's on me.
It's funny because we'll go to a restaurant and he'll be like, all right, who picked this spot? He tries to pin whose fault it is all the time. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a game. He's like, a bad fight happens. We all die. It'll be like, all right, so who started that fight? Whose fault was it? So he also likes to like pin whose fault when sometimes it's just like, accident, somebody got caught, or it doesn't have to be anybody's fault, or we've never eaten at this restaurant. How are we supposed to know if it was going to be good or bad going into it? It's always like, who decided this?
I think, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's interesting because Yvonne, you've described Jeremy to be stoic, right? Someone who's just kind of more reserved. We don't know what's happening, right? And then you're talking about, I wonder if I can put this down. I want to make a gesture to kind of paint a picture here, but kind of sounds like the way you are experiencing your life is like this. I'm managing so many different things. Again, that sounds like that can be isolating. And then Yvonne's describing this observation, right? And then I'm looking for people, right? Like, or I'm looking to, like, I can also get quick to be upset. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, right? Like, it's these two dichotomous parts. And what is it like to have to switch into one or the other?
I think maybe it comes from like, I feel a lot of sense of responsibility for a lot of decisions, right? And when Yvonne mentioned, like, I definitely do, all right, whose fault is it? Who's responsible for this? I think that stems from I often see a lot of my friends not taking responsibility, like not being the one to make decisions. And it's kind of like joking, like something goes wrong and it's like she said, no one's fault. But there's sometimes it's someone's fault. Like, let's say someone really screws up. I wouldn't call that person out. I would just say, all right, who did it? How did we get here? It's half joke, but also half like, I think a lot of people in my friend group, I see them as people who cannot accept responsibility. There's a sense of like in my work, my friends of like, oh, I can't be responsible for that. I can't make that decision because something goes wrong. Then it's on me, like picking a restaurant. And I almost try and do it in a very ironic way, but maybe it comes off as
I feel like that does the opposite effect. I think it makes people scared to pick a restaurant then when you're trying to make them be okay with picking.
Yeah, and maybe that's just miscommunication because I think I try and do it so... Because it's no one's fault. I know, but like I have all the people know it's no one's fault.
Yeah, it's a joke.
It's a joke. And like our friend William did that. You know, he picked a Singaporean restaurant in Japan, but he had to pick it because me and Yvonne were going back and forth for 2 hours. That he's like, "Fuck you guys, we're going to this restaurant." And for me, the joke is like, because he had to do that, now to hear me go, this place sucks, in a very overt way. And maybe, I'm not sure if he felt like I was being serious, but I think he knew I was joking. I was almost being a little shit on purpose because that's what some people do. It's like they make someone make the choice. They don't give their input. They don't make suggestions. And when that decision is made, the whole time, they're being difficult about it. So I think when I get into that role of like, all right, whose fault is it? It's almost as if it's because I'm so used to that kind of person being around that I'm tackling. It's like, you know what? I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be the guy that bitches about things. But to me, like all the times I've done it was jokingly. But of course, people have a hard time telling, oh, is he actually upset? Does he actually want someone to take blame for the bad food in this restaurant?
Or to take more initiative or take the lead, right? To maybe take some weight off of you. I'm wondering, what is it like for you to have learned the way in which, right? Because I keep hearing the word joke a lot. I do want to point that out, right?
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of joking, but that doesn't always leave opportunity for, again, vulnerability, for someone to really know, like, yeah, we can find the silver lining in this. Great. And I think we don't always have to find the silver lining in shit, to be honest. But it's like almost as if there is this sense of maybe like habit, routine, where we're going to throw something out there in terms of like feelings maybe, and fluff it, nest it like with some jokes around it or some humor. So it feels a little bit safer to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned to anticipate it. I think anticipating it makes me feel safer. So when it happens, I'm prepared and expect it. And then when it doesn't happen, I might be pleasantly surprised. So it's almost like cushioning me for the explosion or the fall. But I think it's funny because it works both ways. It's like, because I know he's joking, it helps. But then there's also times where like you do feel bad. So even though he's joking, it could still like sting a little. But it's like you tap something and it stings for like a second, when you hear it. But then it's like, but otherwise it's not that crazy. I just think it's become a funny running joke a little bit that like he always has like, there's always someone you're going to blame for this. Or, okay, we have to pick somebody who is it. And then we all like look at each other.
When you say safe, you talked about feeling safe, right? And feeling like, okay, a way in which I can feel safe is if I anticipate things. Tell me a little bit more.
In terms of like before I get yelled at?
Yeah. What happens for you when you're
yelled at me,
or you're being on the receiving end of you described explosion?
Have you ever seen some of our clips? Some video game clips. There's some called like Pico Park, Chained Together. Let me just show you a really quick audio.
Yvonne, you stay. Yvonne. No! I said let it go! I said let it go! I laid out the plan perfectly for you too!
And then that's when I knew.
So yeah, I think safe is a very accurate word sometimes.
Yeah, I gave you the instructions perfectly, man.
Yeah. You did say, Lily, go, Yvonne, don't go. You said, okay, Lily, go. Yeah.
What is that like to hear? To hear Yvonne say that?
He laughed.
I think realistically, I genuinely do feel bad when she's like, "Oh, you've given me trauma," because I can't tell like, "Oh, is she joking or did I actually make her feel unsafe?" And I don't think we've ever had like a serious discussion about it.
Yeah.
But I do think about it like when you bring it up in the joking way, it's like, "Oh God, like I'm genuinely sorry if I have conditioned you to be like a lesser of a person," if that makes sense, like a beat dog almost. Because to me it's like I said, always joking, but if I have made her feel like she can't relax around me or make a mistake around me, or else I'm gonna jump on it, then it's something I would want to know so that I can read the room better. Like I think in certain games we play, it's fine to do that. But if you start just feeling that way every time we interact, it's not something I want.
Yeah, I think it does not bother me. I don't think there's been a time where like something like that has always been more like just funny. Like I think if you see every clip that's happened, I'm like laughing. Like my instant reaction is to laugh. I don't start crying. I'm not like, yeah. I don't know. I don't think there's ever been a time actually in all of that I felt bad when I'm trying to think back on it. I think the only time previously has only ever been like League of Legends instances, but like when it comes to the other games that I am for sure not well equipped or good at, like it's just entertainment. Yeah.
If anything, there's one thing I do feel bad about is because a lot of people see my interaction with Yvonne like yelling at her and they'll start doing it.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Even some of our friends like would go in on her and I would see this like, oh, this is kind of mean. And I don't know, like, okay, oh, am I that mean? But then again, like, well, this person doesn't really have that relationship with Yvonne. Because I think what's fun about me and Yvonne is like, I can yell at her and I'm like, oh, great job. Oh, you're so stupid. Like kind of back and forth.
And I can yell back.
And she can yell back. And then there'll be instances of someone just like, Yvonne, you fucking idiot. And it's like, that wasn't funny. That was just rude. And
yeah,
I see my part in that of like normalizing that interaction. And it does make me feel bad that people think they can do that without any, of the context around it.
Yeah, but that's not his fault though. That's just more like people being like, oh, haha, like the audience like that, or that was funny. Like I can do that too because Yvonne's can take it or something. And usually I do. There are times where it does bother me, but there are times where it's like, eh.
I think you brought up something too, which I really want to put into the space, right? You talked about Yvonne being in a male dominated space, right? And I don't know if this was maybe what you were trying to say, but yeah, you're acknowledging that you two have a specific relationship, right? You've fostered, cultivated, embraced over time. It sounds like you've both described that there's a level of trust that exists here. The rest of the world, right? Your audience might not know that, right? They don't have that same relationship to either of you in these same ways. And so I'm wondering for you, what does it feel like when, not that I'm saying you're responsible for this, but when the audience kind of runs with something that what is that like for you?
It's not always bad. It's not always good. It really depends on the situation. But I think the way I always see it is kind of like, it's okay. Even if people are yelling at him or saying negative things to him, I'm like, our banter is, it's okay for me to say that because we have that rapport. We're like really good friends. It's not okay for you, person we don't know, to yell at him randomly or say mean things. And I think that goes vice versa. Like it's not okay for them to say what he says to me because I don't know you like that. What you're saying is just mean coming from you versus like what I'm hearing from him is our usual banter. So yeah.
There's a part of you that feels protective and that there's care for one another too.
Yeah, I think the things that make me feel the worst is knowing I was responsible hurting someone's feelings, whether or not I directly say something or I caused a domino effect. Like the episode 2 weeks ago, I felt that for me, like where my first instinct is like, I really hope Yvonne doesn't feel bad. I really hope Chelsea doesn't feel bad because to me, I didn't mind it and I didn't care, but like a lot of people were protective on my behalf and then they're not trying to make Yvonne or Chelsea feel bad either. They're just giving their opinion. But I know that I myself wasn't hurt by it. And I'm very concerned with how they feel and that they're okay, like reading those comments. So I definitely feel responsible for their feelings. Because I think that's one of the worst feelings I get, I think, when it feels like I let someone down or was responsible for a negative feeling they have. I feel a lot of guilt when that happens. Especially if it's someone like I really care about, like Yvonne, where like, oh, that's one of the last person I ever want to feel bad about. So
I'm going to help wrap us up here. What are some things you took away from this time together to learn about each other? Maybe inform the way that you continue to grow together.
I think it was really nice to hear Yvonne verbalize these thoughts because I know she'll never say them in a normal setting. It makes me feel more understood. I wouldn't want her to change anything she does or say to me, but just knowing and hearing these words were very nice.
I mean,
There's no right or wrong answer. I do want to let you know. No right or wrong answer, right? I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, let me, if it's
they're kind of just all, I mean, hearing a lot of things is just like reestablishing a lot of feelings and our dynamic that I already knew and felt. Obviously very good to hear like how much we care about each other. I think that's always really nice to do. It's like little different experience than us like bickering every time we were fighting before this podcast, where we're not fighting this time. In fact, we're just like having a calm, this is probably the most calm discussion ever that we've had. But yeah, I think that, I don't know. I think like I am just so sure. So like I was talking to my friend yesterday and he was saying like, oh, you're just so like nonchalant about the future or like your relationships and all this stuff. And I'm like thinking, well, I have it pretty good in a lot of ways. I feel like I've solidified, like in my head, I've solidified that I have these friends for life. Toast is like one of my friends for life. I don't think I'm never like insecure about it in any way. Like, that's why the lounge situation or whatever doesn't bother me, because I'm like, we're already solidified. Like nothing you do unless you like become an evil person out of nowhere, or you get hit by a car and completely lose entirely your entire personality, would I be like, I don't, you know, like there's very few scenarios I feel like would cause us to not be friends anymore.
Well, thank you for taking the time to give me a little bit of a look into your guys' relationship.
So who do you think's the bad guy?
Well, that's where we end.
All right, viewers, thank you so much for joining us on this very special podcast episode. Big thank you to our therapist, Deepa. Is there a place they can find you? A website? Social media? Are you on social media?
I don't put my practice stuff on the internet, but my practice is located in Los Feliz. You can find me at healingwithdeepa.com.
Yeah, I might actually need some normal sessions. All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Drinks.
What kind of drink do we have, Yvonne?
We got a mandarin and lemon with honey drink.
Oh, damn. Ooh, that's nice. The lemony freshness of it really brings it all together.
Yeah, this one's good. I like it. I like that it's not too sour. Maybe